Hey there, it's CityCast Boise host Lindsay Van Allen. If you're new to the show, CityCast Boise is the daily local podcast where we discuss everything you need to know about the Treasure Valley. You can find us in your podcast feed every weekday by 6 a.m. Enjoy today's episode. Today on CityCast Boise. If you're thinking about a home remodel soon, tariffs could be changing your timeline and your bottom line. We found out which projects are most at risk, what's still made in the U.S., and whether any renovation can truly be tariff-free. It's Wednesday, May 7th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Today, I'm talking with Mary Peters, the CEO of Sasquatch Contracting in the Treasure Valley. Welcome to the podcast, Mary.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
Tariffs with the Trump administration are a big concern for your industry, or that's what I've heard. And with Boise being such a hot housing market, I wonder, are you already seeing the effects of the trade war? Like, are tariffs changing your day-to-day operations yet?
Yes, they have. We actually implemented some things in the first quarter of the year to already plan for tariffs. One of those being that we never had a time frame on our bids before because we didn't have a huge impact as far as like if a bid was 6 months old to 9 months old. But now all of our bids have a 45-day time frame on them because we just don't know what's coming down the pipeline. And we know that people are already starting to increase their prices. Even if tariffs are not in place, they're already anticipating it's going to happen. So they're starting to plan for it. So our bids, that if they're asking, we need a bid for a lumber package and it's good, the job's going to happen in 2 months, they will actually start already adding an increase, anticipating there might be a tariff added.
Oh, really? So if people are looking for bids, they might already be getting pricing that compensates for tariffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because, no business wants to say, oh yeah, you know what, here's my lumber package that's going to cost, say, $30,000. And by the time we're ready to order it, it jumps up to $45,000. So the supplier's already protecting themselves, and we don't add another increase into that, but we are definitely making sure that we have a time frame on our bids and letting people know if it goes beyond that 45 days, we just need to take another look at it and see what changed, if anything has.
And with the president repeatedly flip-flopping on the various tariffs, issuing them and then walking them back, how are you planning for jobs right now? How can you plan for that?
It's so difficult. It's just difficult because people are unsure about if their income is going to change. They're unsure if they should spend money. We have a bigger issue on our clients or potential clients not making a leap. When 6 to even 9 months ago, people would get the same bid and they're like, awesome, we're ready. We already know it's in our budget. Let's move. People are slowing down the process and taking their time and really thinking through things because I think people are just really uneasy right now. And the flip-flopping just makes people unsure of what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I know. I definitely would be concerned. Like, is this a good price? Should I wait? Like, is this residual tariff? Like, it is really an uncertain time. And we spoke with a local real estate agent who told us about how all of this uncertainty in the economy was squeezing first-time homebuyers, or could potentially squeeze them in the future. But what about people who already own and want to remodel? Are you seeing people get priced out of the renovations that they've been planning on?
They're not usually priced out of the renovation, but we might downgrade a selection. So like if you're going to put an addition on your house, the addition's going to cost the same no matter what, right? Like we're going to build that box. It's just going to be the box. But if we need to save money and it's like, okay, you know what? We can swap out electrical, your lights later, and we can downgrade those, and we can downgrade your trimming or your appliance package or whatever it is, things that we later on, if they want to upgrade them again, they can. And we're finding ways to still fit inside people's budgets and still give them the space that they need and the remodel that they're looking for.
And beyond tariffs, the Trump administration has also been very aggressive about immigration, and the construction industry heavily relies on immigrant labor. Are you seeing worker shortages or project delays already in the Treasure Valley?
We're not actually. I mean, at least I'm not in Idaho, but I was in Arizona for a couple of months and talking to other contractors, and I'm not sure, probably maybe just because they're closer to Mexico down there, they had issues already. And this was in like January, February timeframe, because people did not want to leave the radius of where they live, and for fear of, immigration becoming an issue for them. So the labor force was controlled into like wherever they were comfortable being at, which made obviously work being done difficult, especially in a timely fashion. We haven't seen that issue. I'm not sure if other contractors are. I haven't heard anything. But what we do to protect ourselves is we use, instead of calling them subcontractors, we call them team members. And we call them team members because we reuse the same people over and over and over again. And they're tried and true. And that would just be my recommendation. Make sure you're working with somebody that you've worked with before or somebody else has, that you know that they're going to show up to the project and do the work.
Yeah, it sounds like if you've already got those relationships in place, then you won't have to worry about what will happen down the road.
Yeah, and we're really lucky because we've had these relationships with our team members since the beginning when we started the company in 2016. So we've got this great group of people that we just keep working with, and they keep working with us. And as long as that relationship continues on, we're going to be just fine.
What does your mom want for Mother's Day? To feel close to you. So don't forget to give her a call. And a gift that can help you stay connected all year: an Aura digital photo frame. My mom lives in another state and I don't get to see her as much as I want to. I love sharing the meaningful moments in our lives though, like my oldest driving with their permit for the first time, or the kids' elaborate blanket forts. I can snap a photo or video and send it straight to her Aura frame. Aura was named Best Digital Photo Frame by Wirecutter, and after using one, I get why. It makes sharing moments with loved ones feel easy and intentional. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver Mat frame. That's auraframes.com. Promo code CityCast. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Mary, I thought it'd be fun to throw a couple hypothetical remodel situations at you. Maybe some things I might want to do in my own house and see where the pain points are, or where I might need to change my expectations a little bit. And then you could help me think through maybe more cost-effective alternatives. Sound good?
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. So let's say I want to knock down some walls and frame in a new dining area. Since we rely heavily on Canadian lumber, which I didn't actually know before tariffs, so I feel like I am learning things because of these tariffs. So how much should I brace for price sticker shock if I want to do that?
Well, removing a wall is actually pretty easy, and you actually don't have a ton of lumber. It's rebuilding a wall, obviously, where you're going to have more lumber cost. What you're talking about is more of a labor force, and unfortunately, labor costs are going up as well, along with everything else.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I wanted to actually take out a wall. I want to expand my dining room. I want to make it, use some of the yard I have, and we're going to just make it a bigger
let's build
space.
this. Let's do it.
What kind of an impact would that have now as opposed to, I don't know, like a year ago?
You're probably looking at a 10% increase, which I know doesn't sound like a huge number when we're putting it into percentages, but it can obviously be very impactful. People that want to add a mother-in-law quarters or something, it gets those prices across the entire project. It definitely adds up.
Yeah, that's something from remodeling history I've learned. The initial costs, there's layers. So that initial cost, if you're like, yeah, that just went up a little bit, no big deal. It all accrues, and by the end, I'm like, oh, that was quite a bit more than I anticipated.
Yeah, one change order, oh, no big deal. By the end, when you've got several because something changed or we found whatever, and yeah, they definitely add up.
So let's say lumber's too pricey, like a 10% cost increase. I can't manage that with my budget. What's a smart workaround if I'm looking to change the dimensions or feel of my space?
I love regenerative building, and I think that's obviously where we should go more towards, just because it's better for the environment and it's actually better for our economy here locally. If you can find anything that you can repurpose that's here local, do it. Especially in Boise, everything gets shipped in. There are very few things that are just here local. There are some things, but very few. Anything you can find that's here local that you can reuse, give new life to, whether it be lumber, whether it be your finished selections, and something that you can just revitalize. That's the best way to honestly save money and to, impact your community in a very positive way.
So with regenerative building, would that be something like if I had hired you that I'd be like, hey, I found all this lumber, or like I was able to source all this lumber and you'd use it? Or is that something like I could ask the company like, hey, I'd really like to repurpose some of this lumber, or can you source that? Is that something that you do?
That's something that we do. I know that there's a lot of people out there that won't do that, but we really want to be as resourceful as possible to our client. And we also are one of the very few people that if somebody says, hey, you know what, I want to do my own painting, fantastic. We love the sweat equity. So we're a little bit different in that aspect, but we want people to also bring their solutions to us. And if somebody says, talk to me about regenerative building, how do we do this? And how can I help be a part of that solution? We're 100% in.
Okay, Mary, let's say I'm looking at a smaller project. I just want to repaint my walls from the current sickly yellow beige that they are, that I can't believe somebody actually chose and was like, yes, please go through with that. And most paint is made in the US. So that would be a project where I'd be safe from tariffs, right?
I really wish that were true. Actually, no. So paint is made in the US, but the materials that go into the paint usually are shipped from out of the country into the country, and there are definitely tariffs impacting that. So even the things you think that will not have an impact on tariffs because it's US made, that is not the case. A good example are cabinets that are US made. Usually the finished materials for those cabinets come from another country.
Oh, wow. Okay. So even things where I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to get US products, it's not that simple.
I really wish it were, but no, there are some things. I know that during COVID, a lot of flooring manufacturers started making a lot of their hard surfaces, LVP and things like that in the US. And they really did that to protect themselves from delays and wanted to make sure that they were meeting their sales revenue. So there are some things that are actually made in the US, but it is few and far between. I highly suggest people do their research. Just because it says USA made does not mean that it was sourced in the US to actually manufacture that product, whatever it is.
And it doesn't seem like it means that it isn't being impacted by tariffs.
Exactly. Yes. And a lot of the raw materials come from other countries, and those raw materials get shipped in. A lot of tariffs impact all of those things. So raw materials are really what we need to be looking at as far as how that's going to impact anything you do in your home.
Okay, you mentioned flooring, and we had an unfortunate clogged toilet incident a couple days after we moved into our current house. A lot of lessons were learned about how to turn off the water in a toilet by some of our children.
Good thing to know.
Yep. I didn't know they didn't know that. Now I do. But now they do know how to solve that problem themselves. And the previous owners had dogs. So the carpet is in pretty rough shape. And overall, I'd just like to replace the flooring. How much are tariffs going to complicate that upgrade?
Just flooring in a bathroom, I don't think you're going to see a huge difference. Honestly, the big difference in flooring is going to be when you're doing like a whole house and it's really impactful. Flooring is not overly expensive. If you're going to do tile, though, I would say that if you're going to change it out for a tile floor, you're going to see more impacts. A lot of tile is being heavily impacted because a lot of the tile that we have is not made in the US. Most of it's made from other countries.
Okay. And that was so generous of you to think that it stayed in the bathroom. No, this water made it to the hallway. That was a fun day. What about carpet though? Has carpet been impacted? Like if I just wanted to replace carpet, is that another thing impacted by tariffs or not so much?
Not really. Actually, most carpet is made in Georgia. So, which is interesting. Like huge manufacturers. I don't know why they picked Georgia, but they did. There's a lot of manufacturers, Mohawk, Shaw, they have all their manufacturing actually out of Georgia, and they have for a long time. But on the other side of that, if our fuel is taxed and the cost to get it from Georgia to here, that's where you're going to see the increase in price.
Okay. So there's always something, it seems like.
There's always something.
Okay, Mary, let's say I want to do a bathroom upgrade. Let's say, maybe a new sink, maybe you mentioned tile, so maybe a tub shower combo, something like that. Bathroom renovations, I've done a few historically, and they can be quite spendy. How much more would I expect to pay now?
Actually, sinks I haven't seen a huge increase in yet, which is great. But again, if everything else is increasing, I would just anticipate 10%. Honestly, just if you use that 10% across the board, it's probably a good place to live for the time being until everything changes yet again.
Are there any tariff-free or like minimally tariffed bathroom upgrades, like materials or suppliers that people could use to cut costs or keep their prices lower?
I'm going to go back to just like regenerative. If you can reuse whatever you can, it's the best way to keep your costs down. As far as like new materials, no, you're not really safe from tariffs, unfortunately. I really wish you were, but you're not. Everything comes, or at least is touched by something, those raw goods or something is coming from another country. We are really very, very dependent on other countries for a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's something we're all suddenly realizing. Another one of those tariff lessons that maybe we didn't realize, but now everybody is, reality is coming up quick for us. Have you got any other insider tips or tricks that homeowners could use to stretch their renovation dollars to help them be able to complete their projects, especially with all these price increases because of tariffs?
Well, I always love sweat equity. So if you're willing to get your hands dirty and learn how to do something, then absolutely. If you need to replace something, I would just say do your research and take the time to shop around. There's usually good deals, or at the end of, just like with clothes, when it has an end of a season, everything else has an end of season too. And they still can look really nice and updated and modern. Just because it's going out doesn't mean that it's out of style. So that would be my suggestion, is just really shop around.
Well, Mary, thank you so much. It was hard to hear that everything basically will be impacted, but I really appreciate your insights and some of those tips and tricks to help try to keep your renovation projects budget friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thanks for listening to CityCast Boise. I'm excited to announce that we are now an award-winning podcast after we won 3 awards from the Idaho Press Club, including first place for an interview with Mayor McLean. So don't forget to tell your friends about how classy you are listening to an award-winning podcast. We'll be back tomorrow morning with a look at how LDS culture shapes Idaho beauty standards. Catch you then.